Welcome back to another video. So in today's video, as you can see that the topic is REST API security. So far, whatever endpoints or whatever microservices or whatever API we are going to build, right, we need to secure our API, and this is one of the key important criteria which everyone prefer to be expert in this area. So that's why in this course Master Spring Boot, I'm going to cover a large scale for the Spring security concepts, whereas we'll launch a separate in detail course for Spring security. Now coming back to what we have done earlier. So our application is up and running, and you can see that when we call our API, we are getting the response from the server, whereas there is no security layer in between for our API. And security is important because when you are going to expose your API to internet or to public, then there are potential chances of threats or attacks to your API. There are two things: when you're working in a company, when you have in-house API call, yeah, you can have a minimum level of security, but when it is exposed to public, you need to have tight level of security. That's why Spring has a separate project as Spring Security. So now for you to enable Spring security in your application is very quite simple. You just need to open your form.xml, and in your form.xml you just need to add another one dependency, which is Spring Starter security, and just reload your form. Perfect. Now we will restart our server. When we restart our server, you will see that something has been printed in here, which is user using generated security password. So this is something which was not coming earlier, but now it is coming after we added that jar. So now if we call our API again, we will be getting an error which is unauthorized, meaning to say you cannot access this API, you need to provide the credential. So how can we access it? By default, when you add the jar, Spring is providing you the default password or a random password for you to kickstart, and the default username will be user, I guess, if I remember correctly. So the default user is user, and the password which we have copied from the console log. Perfect. Now you see it is working. If we type something else, user2, it will not work. So you need to have the credential for you to make that call. Now because we are going to work on this project, and we will be needing a predefined username and password, because this password is always auto generated once we restart the server. So when we restart the server, this password is going to change. So now this password is not going to work anymore. So as you can see, yeah, the new password again came in. The old password will not work. So for us to kickstart, we need a predefined username and password. So for that, Spring also provide a feature which we need to open our application.properties or application.yaml, and then here we need to define our props. Spring security prop, which is Spring dot security dot username Spring dot security dot password. It is user dot password, which will be okay. Now let us restart our server or reboot our server. Perfect. Application is started. Now it is not printing that default password. Okay, now we are going to use this in our endpoint. Now we will call this, it will not work. So now what is our password is, voila. So now you can see that it is working as expected. So now all the endpoints which we are calling will not work because all require the authorization. We have to cover so many things in future, and we will also retrieve this information from our database, but for now we will stick to this. So you can see that just adding a simple dependency, we are able to have another layer, a sort of a servlet or sort of a filter, which is adding a security layer to our application. And by using these two properties, we can define our username and password, whichever you want to define it. In upcoming videos, we are going to retrieve this information from our database, and even in future, we are going to retrieve this information even from maybe Elasticsearch or maybe anywhere else. This can be stored anywhere else, but it has to be secure location. Database is the best, or cloud database or any other database. And even when we are going to cover JWT token, then we are not even using password, we will be using token to login basically. Anyhow, so that's all for now. This will be a quick video, a quick introduction about system security. Thank you.